Welcome, this is Andy Tube, and this video is part 7 of a series for a single Singer Model 404 full restoration. Part 7, I'm going to be removing all 13 parts of the feed regulator system, also known and maybe better known as the stitch regulator. What the feed regulator does is rotate how far your feed dogs move the fabric. And the numbers on the stitch indicator plate, for example, 6 down here means 6 stitches per inch, or about 4 millimeters. So the needle just moves up and down. With the feed dogs, when the regulator's in this position, the feed dogs will move the fabric 4 millimeters while the needle stroke is going up and down. And if you get up into this 20 stitch area, it will move the feed dogs will move the fabric about 1 millimeter or less, or 20 stitches per inch. Now, like I said, I'm going to remove the whole thing, and I always do that because the regulator itself sits back inside here. But some people may not want to remove the whole regulator system. They may just be having a problem with this, or this may be dirty. So where normally I wouldn't disassemble this, I am going to disassemble that now, so that if that's all you want to do, you'll know how to do that easily. And I'll name the parts as I go. So I already mentioned this is the stitch indicator plate. Has 2 little screws, which are stitch indicator plate screws. The post, or the lever here, is called feed regulator stud. And the little sliding metal indicator that when you lock the stitch in, you turn it and lock it against the indicator plate. That's called the feed regulator stud slide. And this is called the feed regulator slide actuating thumb nut, which has a washer and a little screw with the big name of feed regulating stud actuating thumb nut screw. So to take this out, you want to turn the thumb nut all the way to the left until it locks back, and then take your screwdriver here, and this is a real short screw, so it's going to come out here, and depending on how sticky your particular machine is, the washer might stick to it. There's the little screw. And I'll turn the knob back to the right, which is actually going to take the knob off of that slide, because the threads are on the slide, not the stud. So by doing that, I'm going to get that out here, and should be coming off pretty quick, and it's going to bring the slide right with it. So there's the washer, finally popped off, and there's the thumb nut and the slide, so right to loosen. And there's the little slide right there, and you can see how it gets dirty and varnished with oil, and all these parts do. So you may be able to see the teeth or the thread, and this little space right in the end is eventually where the screw fits, like that. So you've got all those parts out now, and you can clean them. You can clean the stud itself. When you have it like this, you can peer inside with a flashlight, and you can see that the mechanism in there that holds it slides on a slide block that's connected to the feed forked connection. So it sure wouldn't hurt to put some oil on that while you've got it. Maybe you'll see that better when I pull it out. But that's how you would disassemble that if that's all you wanted to do, just for cleaning and so forth. And like I said, I don't do that. Normally I take the whole thing out. So let me show you how to do that. We're going to take off the stitch indicator plate screws. Just a couple little screws on the opposite corners, top left and bottom right. These screws were like the position indicator plate. They're kind of a soft metal, so get a nice fit of a screwdriver. Get the other one here, and then the indicator plate will come off. Sometimes it's sticky and green with verdigris, so I guess there must be some brass in this plate. Get that other little screw off, and then now, since I usually don't take this off before I move the indicator plate out, it'll just kind of hang around on the stud. But let's go ahead and take it off here so that you can see it. Let me get that up a little bit. Yep, you're going to have to maneuver it around there. There's what it looks like on the plate. There's some greening. Not too bad. This machine's actually pretty clean inside. So there's the indicator plate. And then to get the other last three parts off, we've got to work from the what I call the rear end back here, opposite from the face. I can get this propped up on my wood block so that you can see it better. That screw is, yeah, there you can see there's a big hinge screw here, the feed regulator hinge screw, and it can be in there pretty darn good, because chances are it's never been off the machine before. So worth pre-treating with something to loosen it up in there. But if you have a thin wall socket, you can get a socket wrench on there if you're more comfortable doing that. But I'm going to just unscrew it, and it's lefty loosey. There you go. What's behind this feed regulator hinge screw is a feed regulator tension spring and the seat. Or did I already mention that? Now it should come free. This is screwed into the actual feed regulator, and get it out of there, you can try a magnet or a little needle nose just to kind of grab it there and come out. There we go. So there's the spring part, and you can see that's pretty old and greasy. That's a real heavy duty spring for a sewing machine. And this is the spring seat that it sits up against, and the little arms go down into here to keep it in place. And there's the old dirty screw, hinge screw, like a bolt, huh? But now that you've got the hinge screw out, you can pull on the feed regulator stud, and you can pull the actual regulator right out. There it is. So inside the machine there is a can you see that? Yeah, it's hard for me to see on this little camera what you can see, but there is a slide block, a little solid piece of steel. It kind of looks like a brick shape, and it's got a hinge screw on the feed fork connection, and that's what it goes right in here, so that when you're activating this up and down, it's pivoting on that hinge screw and changing the angle of that feed fork connection, which makes a different oscillating pattern for the feed hook. And you can take this screw out if you want and remove the stud. I don't do that when I'm cleaning it. I have done it to replace, but that's the stitch regulator, or the feed regulator. And just to show you a little bit better picture maybe of that slide and how that goes in there. And if you're going to put the other parts on, you get the fork of that slide right up near the end in equidistance, and you can put that thumb nut on there, and then you have to turn it left to put it on. And take your time there, because it's those, what I call ear threads, just two little skinny sides to that. Take your time putting that on so you don't strip the slide. And when you get it up towards that end like that, then you should be able to put the washer and the screw back on. And remember, that's reverse, so right takes it off and left puts it on. You get that screw in there. Come on, buddy. There you go. Back up, turn it around back and forth until you can feel the screw catching in there. Then you can tighten it up. So I wanted to show you that in case all you want to do is pull that off and clean all these parts without taking everything out of the machine. So I knew you could do it. Wasn't that bad, was it? Okay. Now you can really clean that up nice. And I can't think of any other part there. That's about it. So I guess we'll end this part 7. I think for part 8 we're ready to take out the motor. So that'll be the next video, part 8, taking out the motor on this. Sorry to ramble a little bit, but I'm glad you stopped by, and I hope you learned a little bit about the feed regulator system. Thanks for watching. Take care.